Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like your entire sense of reality just got turned upside down? You replay what was said over and over in your mind, trying to stitch together the pieces, but no matter how many times you go back, something doesn't add up. And yet, somehow, the other person made you believe that you were the one who misunderstood, that you were the one who remembered wrong, that you were the one who was too sensitive. It's a terrible, hollow feeling, standing there with your truth in your hands, watching it be twisted until you're not even sure it belongs to you anymore. I think most of us know that moment, even if we don't always have the language for it. It's the moment you begin to wonder if you can even trust your own eyes, your own ears, your own memory. You catch yourself thinking, maybe I really did imagine it. Maybe I really am being dramatic. Maybe I can't trust myself at all. And once that seed is planted, it grows fast. Suddenly, second-guessing yourself becomes the new normal. You hesitate before speaking, wondering if you'll sound foolish. You rehearse conversations in your head, afraid that your feelings will be dismissed again. You hold back tears, because somewhere along the way you were told those tears were manipulative or weak or unnecessary. And you start to live in this split reality, one where you know what you feel in your gut, and another where you silence that gut instinct because someone convinced you it can't be trusted. And let me tell you, there's nothing lonelier than that. There's nothing lonelier than being cut off from the one voice you're supposed to be able to count on every single day your own. Gaslighting doesn't just distort the truth, it dismantles your relationship with yourself. And for many women, especially those who have lived through years of subtle manipulation, it becomes almost impossible to tell the difference between intuition and fear. You begin to doubt not only the people around you, but your very own soul. That is the quiet, devastating damage it leaves behind. But here's what I need you to hear. Your intuition is not broken. That whisper inside of you, the one that nudges you toward what's safe and away from what's harmful, it's still alive. Even if it feels faint, even if it's buried under years of self-doubt, it hasn't gone anywhere. You haven't lost it. What's been damaged isn't the intuition itself, but the trust between you and your intuition. And trust, like any relationship, can be rebuilt. I know you might not believe that right now. I know some of you listening feel like your inner compass has been shattered beyond repair. But let me remind you, think of all the times your intuition has protected you, even when you didn't realize it. Think of the times your stomach nodded before walking into a room, or when your heart told you to pause before saying yes to something, or when a quiet voice whispered, "This isn't right." That was your intuition. And even if you've ignored her, she has never abandoned you. The truth is, you were born with this wisdom. Every single one of us carries it. Long before someone made you question yourself, long before you were told your feelings weren't valid, long before your reality was twisted, your intuition was clear and steady. It guided you through childhood dangers, through teenage heartbreaks, through the first adult decisions you ever made. You trusted it once, and you can learn to trust it again. The reason I'm saying this now is because so many women feel ashamed that they can't just get over the damage of gaslighting. They think, why can't I just be stronger? Why do I keep questioning myself? Why do I feel like I'm broken? But you are not broken. You are human, and what you went through was real. When someone deliberately makes you question your reality, your brain and body go into protection mode. You stop listening to yourself not because you're weak, but because survival taught you it was safer to silence your own voice than to keep speaking it into an environment where it was always denied. But survival is not the same as living. And maybe that's why you're here listening to this right now, because deep down, you know you're ready to reconnect with that inner voice. You're ready to stop living in the fog of self-doubt and step back into the light of your own truth. You're ready to stop asking, am I overreacting? And instead start saying, no, this is what I feel. This is what I know. This is what's true for me. I promise you this. It is possible. It is possible to rebuild the bridge back to yourself. It's possible to hear your intuition clearly again, without the static of someone else's lies drowning it out. And when you do, everything changes. The way you show up in conversations changes. The way you hold yourself in relationships changes. The way you protect your boundaries changes. You stop looking outside for validation and start finding it within. And here's the most powerful part: when you learn to trust your intuition again, you don't just heal the wound gaslighting left. You rise stronger than before. Because once you've fought your way back to your own truth, you carry a wisdom no one can take away. You know how to listen, not just with your ears, but with your body, your spirit, your entire being. And that kind of trust, the trust you rebuild with yourself, is unshakable. So if you're sitting here right now feeling like you've lost your way, let me remind you, you have not lost it. You have not lost her. That voice inside you is still there, waiting patiently for you to turn toward her again. And the journey we're about to take together is all about learning how to hear her, how to believe her, and how to trust that she will not lead you astray. Because the truth is, you were never crazy. You were never too sensitive. You were never imagining things. You simply endured a kind of manipulation designed to silence you. And yet, here you are, still listening, still searching, still hungry for your truth. That alone tells me your intuition is alive and well. And together, we're going to learn how to honor it again. The hardest part about being gaslighted is not just the lies that were told or the manipulation you endured. It's what it does to the foundation of who you are. When someone constantly tells you that your perception of reality is wrong, that your feelings are too much, or that you are imagining things, a very dangerous seed begins to grow. That seed is doubt. Not a simple, passing doubt, but a doubt that burrows deep into the core of your being, whispering to you every day that you cannot trust yourself. And once it takes root, it colors everything you do, everything you feel, and everything you believe about yourself. You start noticing it in the quiet moments first. You hesitate before expressing an opinion, even about something small, because the voice inside your head immediately asks, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm overreacting? What if everyone else is right and I'm just too sensitive? And the more this happens, the louder that voice becomes. Soon, it's not a whisper, it's a roar, drowning out the soft, steady voice that once guided you through decisions with ease and confidence. And here's the cruel irony: gaslighting makes you doubt yourself, but it does so in a way that convinces you that you are the problem. You carry the weight of guilt for trusting your instincts, for speaking up, for noticing when something felt off. You may have spent years apologizing for your feelings or questioning your own experiences because someone else wanted to rewrite your history. Every time you questioned yourself, every time you doubted your gut, the cycle repeated. They manipulated, you doubted, you apologized, and then they manipulated again. Many women live in this cycle for years before they even recognize it. And the reason is that gaslighting doesn't come in the form of an obvious attack. It's not always dramatic or loud. Sometimes it's subtle, a tiny word here, a dismissive comment there, a repeated pattern of minimization that over time chips away at your self-confidence. You might find yourself replaying interactions, trying to make sense of what really happened. Second, guessing whether you were too sensitive, too emotional, or simply wrong. And when this doubt becomes habitual, it begins to shape the way you see yourself. It's not uncommon for women who've been gaslighted to describe a sense of living in two realities. On one hand, deep in your gut, that something isn't right. You feel it physically in your chest or your stomach. You notice your heart racing or your mind telling you to pay attention. But on the other hand, the constant invalidation makes you question yourself. Am I overreacting? Is it really a big deal? Should I just let it go? That split between what your intuition is telling you and what your mind has been conditioned to believe creates a tension that is exhausting. And this isn't just emotional exhaustion. It's also a kind of cognitive warfare against yourself. Gaslighting teaches your brain to distrust itself. It rewires the way you perceive information, so even when someone tells you the truth, your first response might be suspicion. Are they saying this to trick me? Am I reading this wrong? That level of self-doubt can leak into every area of your life. Your relationships, your career, your ability to make decisions, because you've been trained to second-guess your own judgment. What's even harder is that society doesn't always recognize this struggle. Gaslighting often happens in ways that are invisible to outsiders, so when you try to share your experience, you may be met with disbelief or minimization. People might say, "Are you sure?" Maybe you're taking it too personally, or maybe you're remembering it wrong. And each time that happens, the internalized doubt deepens, because not only do you have to question yourself, you also have to question whether others are right about questioning you. It's a double bind, a trap that makes you feel isolated and powerless. So it's no wonder that after experiencing gaslighting, trusting yourself becomes one of the hardest things in the world. The problem is not that your intuition is flawed. The problem is that your trust in your intuition has been repeatedly undermined, corroded by someone else's manipulation. And when trust is broken, even in the smallest ways, it takes time, patience, and deliberate care to rebuild. You can't just flip a switch and suddenly believe in yourself again. It doesn't work that way. You need to gently retrain your mind and your body to recognize your own truth as valid and worthy. And let's be honest, there's a deep emotional cost to all of this. Doubting yourself erodes confidence, makes you anxious in ways that feel uncontrollable, and can leave you feeling like a stranger in your own skin. You may start avoiding conflict because you fear you'll be told you're wrong. You may hesitate to speak up in relationships or at work, afraid that your perspective doesn't matter. And yet, all the while, there is a part of you, a quiet, persistent part, that remembers the way it felt to trust yourself, to know that your instincts were reliable. That part of you is aching to be heard again, to be believed, to be honored. Recognizing this struggle is important because it validates your experience. It's not weakness, it's not irrationality, it's not failure. It's the aftermath of surviving a very particular kind of psychological trauma, a trauma that specifically targets your inner voice and your sense of self. Understanding that this is the problem, the real problem, is the first step in taking it back. Once you can identify the way your trust in yourself was broken, you can begin to see the path toward repair. You can start to separate your feelings and your memories from the doubt imposed on you. You can begin to rebuild the relationship with yourself that was damaged for so long. And that's why so many women feel stuck. They know something isn't right, but they can't fully trust what their instincts are saying. They want to act, to make changes, to reclaim their power, but every step is accompanied by hesitation and self-questioning. And that hesitation is not a sign that you're incapable. It's a sign of the layers of manipulation you've endured. The road back to self-trust is not instant. It's a process of noticing, validating, and honoring your own voice again. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. Millions of women experience this type of emotional erosion, even if it isn't widely talked about. And the pain you feel is real. The self-doubt you carry is real. But here's the thing, while gaslighting can make you doubt yourself, it can never take away the truth of who you are. That core part of you, the part that knows what's right, that feels deeply, that senses danger before it arrives, still exists. It's still there, waiting for you to reconnect with it. And that is what gives hope. Even though the problem is pervasive, exhausting, and deeply ingrained, it is not permanent. Your mind may have been trained to doubt itself, but that training can be reversed. Your heart may have been silenced, but it can learn to speak again. Your intuition may have been buried under layers of fear and manipulation, but it can be reclaimed. And as difficult as it feels to believe in yourself right now, that belief is the key to moving forward. It is the foundation for healing, for setting boundaries, for trusting your own judgment again. So while the problem is real, and while the impact is profound, it is not insurmountable. Recognizing it, naming it, and validating your experience is the first step toward reclaiming the trust that was stolen from you. And as we move forward, you'll discover that trusting yourself again isn't about never feeling doubt. It's about learning how to hold your own hand through the doubt, how to honor your truth even when fear whispers otherwise, and how to slowly, steadily rebuild the bridge between yourself and your intuition. Here's the thing about intuition. It doesn't disappear, even when it feels buried under layers of self-doubt, manipulation, or years of being told you can't trust yourself. What happens after gaslighting is not that your inner voice vanishes, It's that the connection between you and that voice gets broken. It's like a wire that's been cut. There's still energy on both ends, but it can't communicate. And until that connection is restored, the whispers of your intuition feel faint, confusing, or even wrong. The surprising truth is that intuition is stubborn. It's persistent. It's not something that can be erased by someone else's lies or your own fear. Even when you've spent years questioning yourself, even when your gut instincts seem like a distant memory, the signals are still there. They're just waiting for you to stop doubting, waiting for you to relearn how to listen. That's why so many women who have been gaslighted feel a flicker of unease or awareness long before they consciously recognize the source. That flicker is your intuition still alive, still pointing toward your truth. Think about it this way: intuition is like a compass that never stops pointing north. You may wander, you may get lost, and you may even try to convince yourself that north is somewhere else. But the compass itself never lies. The problem is not the compass. The problem is the weight of manipulation, fear, and self-doubt pressing down on it, making it harder to notice which direction it's pointing. And yet, the moment you start paying attention, even just a little, the compass begins to respond again. Its signals grow clearer, stronger, and unmistakable. I want to share a story that illustrates this perfectly. A woman I know spent years in a relationship where her partner consistently dismissed her feelings. Every time she expressed discomfort or concern, he would twist her words, invalidate her emotions, or convince her she was overreacting. She began to feel like she couldn't trust anything she felt. She questioned her memory, her judgment, and even the validity of her own emotions. But one day, she noticed a small, persistent feeling in her chest, a quiet discomfort she had almost ignored. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable, but it nudged her to pay attention. She didn't yet know what it meant, but she decided to honor it, to track it, and to listen. Over time, that small nudge grew into clarity. It led her to recognize patterns she had dismissed for years and, eventually, to take decisive action to protect herself. That one persistent feeling, her intuition, never failed her. She just had to relearn how to hear it. This is what makes intuition remarkable, even after it's been silenced. It has a way of resurfacing. Even when doubt feels like a thick fog around your mind and heart, that inner voice can pierce through if you allow yourself to notice it. It might start as a whisper, a fleeting sensation, or an uneasy feeling you can't quite explain. But those signals are your compass guiding you back to yourself. Another important truth is that intuition often communicates in ways we don't immediately recognize. It doesn't always come as a bold, undeniable command. Sometimes it speaks through your body, a tightness in your chest, a pit in your stomach, a sense of restlessness. Sometimes it appears as a mental nudge, a thought that won't leave you alone until you pay attention. And sometimes it comes as a quiet knowing, a sense of certainty about something that, on the surface, makes no logical sense. The key is to stop dismissing these signals. Stop labeling them as paranoia, overreaction, or irrational fear. These are the languages your intuition uses to reach you, especially when trust has been eroded. Here's a counterintuitive aspect that surprises many women. Rebuilding trust in your intuition is not about eliminating doubt entirely. You may never completely silence the voices of fear or skepticism, especially after being gaslighted. Those voices are remnants of the experience. They're protective mechanisms designed to keep you safe from further manipulation. But learning to trust your intuition doesn't mean eradicating them. It means learning to distinguish between the voice of fear and the voice of truth. It means creating space to listen to both, to weigh them, and to let your inner compass lead you, even if the fearful voices are still present. It's also important to recognize that intuition is inseparable from self-awareness. After gaslighting, women often feel disconnected from their own internal experience, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Reconnecting with intuition requires reconnecting with yourself. That might mean paying attention to how your body responds in different situations, journaling your feelings and instincts, or reflecting on patterns in your relationships and decisions. The more you attune to yourself, the more you strengthen your ability to hear that inner voice clearly. And here's where the empowerment comes in. Intuition is not a vague, mystical gift reserved for the special few. It is a practical, tangible tool for navigating life. It has guided you before, it has protected you, and it can guide you again. The moment you stop viewing it as fragile or unreliable and start seeing it as a trustworthy ally, everything shifts. You begin to reclaim the authority over your own life that was undermined by manipulation. You start to make decisions aligned with your truth rather than the distorted reality someone else imposed on you. I also want to remind you that intuition thrives on practice. It's like a muscle that may feel weak at first, but grows stronger the more you use it. Small exercises like noticing your gut reactions, writing down your instinctive thoughts, or checking in with your body before making decisions can dramatically strengthen that connection. Over time, you begin to recognize patterns, to differentiate between fear and truth, and to act confidently based on your own wisdom. So here's the paradox. Even though gaslighting damages trust, it doesn't damage the intuitive signal itself. What's required is patience, self-compassion, and deliberate practice to rebuild that trust. And the moment you start taking those small steps, honoring the flickers of instinct, listening to your body, validating your feelings, you begin to experience the profound relief of reconnecting with yourself. The remarkable insight, then, is this: intuition doesn't leave. It doesn't betray you. It doesn't vanish. It waits patiently, resiliently for you to come back to it. The challenge is not finding it. It's learning how to trust it again after it was silenced. Once you do, you step into a level of clarity, confidence, and self-assurance that feels almost revolutionary. And when you finally act on your intuition, when you let that inner voice guide your decisions, your boundaries, and your relationships, you realize something profound. Your life begins to shift in alignment with your truth. You make choices that honor your experience rather than undermine it. You step away from what is harmful and step toward what is authentic. And every time you honor that voice, it grows stronger, louder, and more reliable. Rebuilding trust in your intuition is not something that happens overnight. And it's not a single, dramatic moment of realization. It's a process, a series of small, intentional steps that allow you to reconnect with yourself, honor your instincts, and regain the confidence that manipulation took away. The first step is learning to start small. Intuition doesn't announce itself with fanfare, it whispers. And when you've spent years doubting yourself, it helps to begin with the low-stakes decisions first. Something as simple as asking yourself whether you want tea or coffee, whether you want to go for a walk now or later, or whether you feel like taking a different route to the store may seem trivial, but each time you listen and follow that nudge, you are practicing trust in yourself. You are sending a message to your inner compass that it is safe to speak again and that you are willing to listen. Another incredibly effective practice is journaling. Writing down your thoughts, feelings, and instincts allows you to externalize them, giving you a record that can be revisited over time. Start by noting moments when your intuition nudges you, big or small. Did something feel off in a conversation? Did your body react with tension or unease? Did you feel drawn to or repelled by a particular choice? Write it down without judgment. Later, go back and notice how often your instincts were right. Seeing these patterns in black and white is a powerful reminder that your intuition has always been there guiding you, even when self-doubt tried to silence it. Journaling doesn't just create a record. It reinforces the idea that your thoughts and feelings are valid and worthy of attention. Paying attention to your body is another critical step. Intuition often speaks through physical sensations before it reaches conscious awareness. That flutter in your stomach, that tightness in your chest, that sudden tension in your shoulders, these are all signals your body sends to alert you to danger, opportunity, or a decision that aligns with your true self. Learn to notice them without immediately labeling them as fear or overreaction. Instead, pause and ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me right now? By tuning into your physical cues, you are essentially opening a direct line to your inner wisdom, bypassing the noise of external judgment or past manipulation. It's also essential to set boundaries with doubt. After gaslighting, the inner critic becomes loud and persistent. That voice that says, "Are you sure? Maybe you're imagining it again," is a leftover from the manipulation you endured. Recognize it for what it is, an echo of someone else's attempt to control your perception. When it arises, pause and ask yourself, what if I'm not overreacting? What if my feelings are valid? You don't have to silence the voice entirely. You simply need to acknowledge it without letting it dictate your decisions. Over time, this practice creates mental and emotional space for your intuition to be heard more clearly. Another practical step is to create a supportive environment. Surround yourself with people who respect your experiences and reinforce your ability to trust yourself. These are the individuals who listen without judgment, who validate your feelings and who encourage your autonomy. Their presence serves as a mirror, reflecting back the truth of your experiences and the reliability of your instincts. Conversely, minimizing or toxic influences should be carefully managed. You cannot rebuild trust in yourself if you are constantly subjected to voices that undermine or distort your reality. Protecting your space is not selfish. It is essential for your healing. Practice patience with yourself. Trusting your intuition after it has been undermined is not linear. Some days you will feel connected and confident in your decisions. Other days, the doubt will creep back in, making you question yourself again. This is normal. Healing is rarely a straight line. It's a process of small victories and minor setbacks, each teaching you something about your resilience and inner wisdom. Treat yourself with compassion on the difficult days. Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend who has endured manipulation. Gently, kindly, and with unwavering belief in their worth and judgment. Visualization exercises can also be powerful. Picture your intuition as a trusted guide waiting for you to reconnect. Imagine yourself following its guidance step by step, making decisions that feel right in your body, mind, and heart. See yourself honoring your instincts, and notice the sense of relief, confidence, and clarity that arises. Repeatedly visualizing this connection helps strengthen the neural pathways that allow you to trust yourself. It's like rehearsing a conversation with your inner wisdom, training yourself to listen and respond with confidence. Another useful approach is reflection after decisions. Each time you make a choice, take a moment to reflect on how it felt. Did you notice a subtle signal that guided you? Did you listen or override it? What were the consequences of following or not following your instincts? Reflection is not about judgment or criticism. It is about learning and reinforcing the connection to your inner guidance. Over time, this practice reinforces the habit of paying attention to your own wisdom and builds confidence in its accuracy. It's also important to embrace curiosity over certainty. After years of being told you're wrong, you may feel pressure to get everything right immediately. But intuition thrives in an environment of curiosity. Ask yourself, what is my instinct telling me here? What might happen if I follow it? This approach allows you to experiment, to notice patterns, and to learn from experience without the harsh judgment that has often accompanied your decision-making in the past. Curiosity creates freedom. It allows your intuition to speak without fear of reprisal or invalidation. Finally, celebrate your successes no matter how small. Each time you listen to your intuition, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Each time you follow your instincts and honor your feelings, you reinforce the message that you are trustworthy, your body is trustworthy, and your mind is trustworthy. Recognition of these victories, small, daily acts of self-trust, creates a feedback loop that strengthens your connection to your inner voice. Over time, what once felt impossible begins to feel natural. What once felt risky begins to feel empowering. What once felt faint begins to feel clear, steady, and undeniable. Rebuilding trust in your intuition after gaslighting is not a single step. It is a journey of small, intentional acts repeated consistently over time. Start with small decisions. Journal your instincts. Notice your body's signals, set boundaries with doubt. Surround yourself with supportive people. Practice patience, visualize connection. Reflect after decisions, embrace curiosity, and celebrate victories. Each of these practices, repeated and reinforced, gradually restores the bond between you and your inner guidance. And here's the beautiful truth: as you take these steps, your intuition will grow stronger, louder, and more reliable. You will start to recognize it as a trusted ally, a steady compass guiding you through life with clarity and confidence. You will no longer need constant reassurance from others or second-guess yourself at every turn. Instead, you will feel grounded, empowered, and capable of making decisions that honor your truth. The journey may require patience, compassion, and practice. But the reward is profound: the rediscovery of your own voice, your own wisdom, and your own power. Imagine for a moment waking up one morning and realizing that you no longer question your own judgment. The heaviness of self-doubt that once weighed on your shoulders has lifted, and instead, there is a lightness, a freedom that comes from knowing you can trust yourself. You move through your day with a quiet confidence, grounded not in the approval of others, but in the unwavering certainty that you are capable of listening to your own inner wisdom. Decisions no longer feel like a minefield where every step could lead to criticism or self-reproach. Instead, choices feel like invitations to honor your own truth, opportunities to align with what you know deep down is right. This transformation begins with subtle shifts that, over time, create profound changes. You notice that conversations feel different now. You speak with clarity and assertiveness, no longer apologizing for your feelings or shrinking to accommodate the doubts of others. When someone challenges you or attempts to manipulate your perspective, you respond with calm and confidence. You no longer carry the fear that your reality will be twisted or denied. Instead, you acknowledge the truth of your experience and hold your ground. This newfound assertiveness does not make you rigid or unkind. Rather, it radiates self-respect and sets a clear example of what it means to honor your own boundaries. As you practice trusting your intuition consistently, relationships begin to change too. You start attracting people who respect your voice, your experience, and your perspective. The friendships and connections that once felt draining or invalidating begin to fade or transform, making space for relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. You become adept at recognizing when someone's intentions are not aligned with your well-being, and you no longer tolerate behaviors that once left you anxious, fearful, or doubting yourself. With every boundary you assert, you strengthen the bond with your inner voice, reinforcing the lesson that your feelings are valid and your instincts are reliable. You may also notice how your body responds to this shift. Where there was once tension, hesitation, or a sense of hypervigilance, there is now ease. Your posture changes, your breathing becomes deeper and more relaxed, and your physical presence radiates the confidence that comes from being grounded in your own truth. Your body, which once sent signals that were ignored or dismissed, now feels like a trusted ally, a compass that guides you through life with clarity and assurance. Each physical cue is a reminder that you have reclaimed authority over your own experience. This transformation also extends to your inner dialogue. The critical, doubting voice that once undermined every decision grows quieter, replaced by a compassionate and affirming voice. You begin to speak to yourself with kindness, encouragement, and patience. When you make mistakes, you see them not as failures, but as opportunities to learn and grow. When uncertainty arises, you approach it with curiosity rather than fear. And when doubt attempts to creep back in, you gently remind yourself that intuition is not about perfection. It is about alignment with your truth, even when the path is not entirely clear. An essential part of this transformation is the reclaiming of time and energy that was once spent on second guessing yourself or managing the perceptions of others. You find that you no longer feel the need to explain every action or justify every feeling. There is freedom in letting go of the compulsion to defend yourself, because you finally understand that your truth is valid, whether or not others acknowledge it. This liberation allows you to focus your energy on creating, experiencing, and enjoying life on your own terms, rather than navigating a landscape of manipulation and self-doubt. As your trust in yourself deepens, you also notice changes in the way you approach opportunities and challenges. Where you once hesitated, paralyzed by fear of making the wrong decision, you now move forward with discernment and confidence. You honor the signals of your intuition, and you allow them to guide you toward choices that nurture your growth and well-being. This does not mean that life becomes free of difficulty. It means that you meet challenges with resilience, anchored in the knowledge that you are capable of navigating them. Your inner compass becomes a constant companion, providing clarity and direction even in the midst of uncertainty. Another profound aspect of this transformation is the sense of self-compassion that grows from listening to yourself. You learn to treat yourself with the same understanding and care that you extend to those you love. You forgive yourself for past moments of self-doubt, for the times you ignored your instincts, and for the ways you allowed others to define your reality. In doing so, you cultivate an inner sanctuary, a place where your voice is honored, your feelings are validated, and your intuition is respected. This self-compassion becomes a source of strength, resilience, and peace, allowing you to navigate life with grace and authenticity. With this renewed trust in yourself, life begins to feel expansive. You notice possibilities that were once obscured by doubt, and you feel empowered to pursue goals, dreams, and relationships that align with your values and desires. Every decision, no matter how small, is an opportunity to honor your truth. And with each act of self-trust, your confidence grows, creating a positive feedback loop. The more you honor your intuition, the stronger it becomes, and the more capable you feel of navigating life authentically. Imagine sitting in a room and feeling completely present, fully aligned with your thoughts, feelings, and instincts. You no longer carry the burden of constant self-questioning, and the weight of others' opinions no longer dictates your sense of self. Instead, you feel light, centered, and empowered, a woman who has reclaimed her voice, her authority, and her inner guidance. This is not a distant fantasy. It is the natural outcome of consistent practice, self-compassion, and deliberate attention to the signals of your intuition. And finally, imagine sharing this journey with others. Your story, your reclaimed voice, and your confidence become a beacon for those who may still be struggling. You inspire others not through grand gestures, but through the quiet demonstration of self-trust, the steady courage to honor your instincts, and the grace to navigate life on your own terms. Your transformation has ripple effects, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you, because it shows what is possible when a woman reconnects with herself, honors her intuition, and refuses to be silenced. This transformation is about more than just feeling confident or making decisions. It is about living fully, authentically, and unapologetically. It is about reclaiming the authority that was undermined, restoring the trust that was stolen, and stepping into a life guided by your own wisdom. It is about finally knowing, without hesitation, that you are capable, worthy, and aligned with your truth. And it is about carrying this knowledge forward into every choice, every relationship, and every moment, creating a life that reflects not the doubts of the past, but the strength, clarity, and resilience of the present.